This is the download from Sounds Profitable, your daily source for the essential news in the business of podcasting. I'm Gavin Gaddis. Here's what you need to know for today, Tuesday, July 21st. First up, IAB Tech Lab releases podcast technical measurement guidelines, version 2.3 for public comment. The 30-day comment period runs through August 19th on version 2.3 of Podcast Technical Measurement Guidelines. The update clarifies how downloads, audience, and ad delivery are counted across audio and video podcasts served by RSS and server-side delivery, with new guidance on URL prefix measurement, RSS enclosure URL changes, duplicate downloads, invalid traffic, and measurement windows. It also retires the term listener in favor of podcast consumer, a terminology shift that sets up a version 3 guideline focused on streaming video podcasts that is due in 2027. Next up, 5 things the World Cup taught marketers about creators. Digiday treated the World Cup as a stress test for creator marketing and pulled 5 lessons from it. Unilever worked with 50,000 creators across more than 35 brands in over 120 markets during the tournament. Part of a network, it grew from 10,000 to roughly 300,000 by automating discovery, vetting, brand safety screening, and briefing. Michelob Ultra used only 346 creators across 947 posts to generate $11.5 million in earned media value and 253 million impressions, largely through Messi. Next up, copy Starbucks barista program inherit a labor bill nobody has priced. For a new issue of the Media Built newsletter, Steve Raizes argues that companies copying employee creator programs like Starbucks' Green Apron Creators is taking on obligations they have not priced. He breaks down some potential legal landmines for companies considering codifying content creation while on the clock. For instance, copyright ownership is unsettled for work filmed off-shift on personal devices, where platforms publish terms and employers rarely do. Payroll exposure grows once rewards are announced with defined criteria, which Labor Department opinions indicate can trigger overtime recalculation across all earnings. Review capacity becomes its own problem, as 2,000 creators submitting monthly content means more than 333 hours of review before rights clearance and FTC disclosure audits. Federal labor protections cover employees who discuss wages and conditions, which program terms demanding positivity may run against. Likeness rights outlast employment. Raizes highlights a podcast producer who drifted into on-air talent as a show grew and got answers on compensation and ownership before the money scaled. Quote, "Nobody has been sued over any of this yet, which is exactly the reason to write the terms now instead of after." End quote. For our final top story, the end of Head in the Sand children's privacy practices. AdExchanger's Allison Schiff interviews OpenX Chief Privacy Officer and Deputy General Counsel Julie Rooney about the end of plausible deniability on audience age. The FTC's updated COPPA, that's Children Online Privacy Protection Act, passed its enforcement deadline on April 22nd, and a wave of state laws now sets minority at under 16 in some states and 17 or 18 in others, with Maryland outright banning personal data sales and targeted advertising to minors. The bigger change is the standard itself, as new state laws move from COPPA's, quote, actual knowledge, end quote, test towards, quote, should have known, end quote, which puts more responsibility on intermediaries in the chain. Here's a quote from Rooney, quote, "Not knowing who's in your audience isn't good enough anymore," end quote. OpenX is building a separate marketplace for child-directed inventory with publishers and advertisers vetted under external COPPA safe harbor oversight. As for the rest of the news, Podcast News Daily has covered Sounds Profitable's The Podcast Atlas Report. Outcomes Rocket surveyed 861 marketing and PR professionals and found podcast marketing is growing, but still faces skepticism, with 56.9% of current podcast users likely to increase spend over the next year, while 45.8% of organizations not yet hosting a show doubt podcasting can meet their goals. Getty Images has expanded its partnership with Goalhanger to supply editorial, archival, and creative imagery for video-first shows, including The Rest is Football and a daily Netflix World Cup program. SiriusXM has signed a 3-year exclusive distribution and ad sales deal for The Bald and the Beautiful. And on Podcast Perspectives, Laura Mayer talks with Jeff Umbro about the rise, fall, and reinvention of podcasting, including why production networks taught their own clients to bring the work in-house. That does it for today's issue of The Download. You can find a link in the show notes that takes you to today's episode post on our site, where you can also subscribe for the newsletter version if you would like it sent straight to your email inbox every day. Today's issue was written and produced by myself, Brian Barletta, Molly DeMillier, and Tom Webster. For Sounds Profitable, I'm Gavin Gaddis, and we'll see you tomorrow.